What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the Detroit Lions have made the first big free agent move of their offseason, bringing in and agreeing to terms with wide receiver Tyrell Williams. Now, as I said, Tyrell Williams is the first big-time free agent move of this offseason and is the first big free agency piece by the new Lions regime. Now, yesterday or 2 days ago, we did a quick video kind of going over giving the first big gut reaction and seeing what the first impression was. However, today, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth, about our newest wide receiver and really get to know our newest Detroit Lions member and what he brings to this Lions team. Now, before we get into going into a deep dive about the first free agent signing of the offseason, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes just 2 seconds out of you to do so. It's quick, free, and easy, and as I said, it would help the channel out tremendously. So if you could take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be super appreciative. But with all of that being said, and without any further ado, let's get right into taking a deep dive into the newest Detroit Lion wide receiver, Tyrell Williams. Now, as I said, the other day, the Detroit Lions and Tyrell Williams came together and agreed upon a 1-year contract. Now, this 1-year contract can cost the Detroit Lions up to $6.2 million. However, only $4.7 million of that contract is guaranteed, with the rest of it being incentives based. Obviously, based off his performances, based off how he plays, and how well the Lions do as a football team. Now, Tyrell Williams is a 6'4", 205-pound wide receiver going into his 7th year as an NFL pro. Now, Tyrell Williams did not do a lot at the NFL Combine when he was invited when he was coming out of Oregon State. However, he did participate in one drill in particular, and that was the 40-yard dash, where he ran an incredibly impressive 40, timing in at a 4.43 second 40-yard dash, which for a guy at his size is a very impressive measurable. Now, in his career, in his first 5 seasons of play as an NFL wide receiver, Tyrell Williams has totaled 193 total receptions for both the Chargers and the Raiders. He has totaled 3,181 total receiving yards with 23 receiving touchdowns, while averaging on his career 16.1 yards per reception. Now, Tyrell Williams did miss a lot of last season and actually missed the entirety of the 2020 NFL season with a torn labrum in his shoulder. It cost him the entirety of his 2020 season. However, he has passed the physicals and should be 100% ready to go by time training camp and OTAs roll around for the 2021 season. Now, Tyrell is a very big body wide receiver, and I believe he's being brought in to replace either Kenny Galladay or Marvin Jones. Both of those guys, as Lions fans know, are very big time, big body, contested catch wide receivers, which Tyrell Williams is very capable of, as I said, standing at 6'4", 205 pounds. Now, Tyrell Williams, in my opinion, actually creates better separation than both Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay, while still bringing that big frame and contested catch ability. Not to mention, Tyrell Williams is once again being reunited with Anthony Lynn, his former head coach and his former offensive play caller from his time with the San Diego and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, under Anthony Lynn, Tyrell Williams saw his most effective playing time and saw his most efficient season, especially in the 2016 season, where he had a total of 69 receptions for 1,059 yards and 7 receiving touchdowns, all of which are career highs for Tyrell Williams. Now, Tyrell Williams throughout his career has never really been the the biggest name wide receiver, and he's never even really been the most productive wide receiver on his own NFL team, excluding his obviously career season in 2016, which again was under our current offensive coordinator in Anthony Lynn. Now you might say, well, why are we paying this guy $6.5 million? Why are we paying this guy $6.2 million if he's never been a top wide receiver in the NFL? Excluding his 2016 season, Tyrell averages about 600 to 700 yards a season and 4 to 6 touchdowns a season. However, those numbers are a little bit misleading, as although Tyrell Williams has never been explosive on the stat sheet, and although Tyrell Williams has never really been the true number one target or the number one wide receiver, that isn't necessarily his fault, as he has been on a lot of teams and has been surrounded by a lot of very good receivers in his time in the NFL. Now, Tyrell Williams, for a majority of his time with the San Diego and Los Angeles Chargers, was sitting behind Keenan Allen and was the number 2 wide receiver to Keenan Allen on the boundary. Now, obviously, everybody knows how good Keenan Allen is. He's a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber wide receiver, and it's going to be very hard to pass that guy on the depth chart. It's going to be very hard to get targets over a guy like Keenan Allen. So from that perspective, I don't blame him for not being the number 1 target and the number 1 wide receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers, because Keenan Allen is a very good wide receiver who creates elite separation and is just all around an incredibly gifted wide receiver. However, the one season Keenan Allen did not play at all, in the 2016 season, ironically enough, Keenan Allen only ended up playing in 1 NFL game that season, and that forced Tyrell into a bigger role and forced him into the number 1 receiving role for the first and only time of his career. Coincidentally, in that season, the only season where he's been a number 1 wide receiver, as I said, totaled a career high in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, recording 69 receptions, 1,059 yards, and 7 touchdowns on the season. Now, he went to the Las Vegas Raiders, where he was the number 1 wide receiver on that depth chart. However, Tyrell Williams was not the number 1 target, nor was he the number 1 weapon for that Raiders offense. Obviously, that respect and obviously that title goes to Darren Waller, the tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders. Darren Waller is an incredibly gifted tight end. He's a very good top 2, top 3 tight end in the NFL, debatably just behind probably Kittle and Kelsey as that 3rd tight end in the NFL. And again, just like a guy like Keenan Allen, if you have a talented receiver, if you have a talented target and a guy that can get you a lot of receptions, a lot of yards, and a lot of touchdowns in a season, you have to get that guy the ball. And unfortunately enough for Tyrell Williams, he always came second to Darren Waller. Now, that is not to say that Tyrell Williams is a bad wide receiver, and that is not to say that Tyrell Williams cannot be a very good wide receiver. As we saw, the only season he was the number 1 target, he recorded his first and only 1,000-yard season and was one of the big name receivers in the NFL and was one of the biggest, most efficient wide receivers in the league when he was called upon to be that number 1 weapon. Now, Tyrell Williams has been a little bit inconsistent with drops throughout his career, which is really my only big knock on him. However, every single year his catching percentage has gone up, and in his final full season, his last full season as a pro, his catching percentage was the highest it has ever been. And although it is not necessarily the highest catch percentage in the NFL, he's had a little bit of inconsistent quarterback play throughout his career. And again, as I said, he's improved every single year when it comes to that catch percentage and pulling in the football. He's improved every single year from a drops perspective. Every single year he's dropping less and less passes, and every single year it seems that Tyrell Williams is improving his technique and his craft as a wide receiver, while still maintaining obviously that 6'4 frame, 4.43 speed, and some pretty good separation skills as well. Now, looking at Tyrell's role on the Detroit Lions, I see Tyrell Williams as the real deep threat wide receiver. As I said, throughout his career, averages about 16.1 yards per reception, which is a very good wide receiver. Looking at his time with the Los Angeles Chargers, looking at the way Anthony Lynn used him last time that Tyrell Williams was working and was being coached under Anthony Lynn, he was used primarily as a deep threat, really pushed the field, really pushed DBs down the field, really created good separation, and was the big time deep threat for that Chargers team, while Keenan Allen worked underneath and in the intermediate field, as he has a phenomenal route runner but doesn't necessarily have the greatest long speed. Now, I see a very similar similar role for Tyrell Williams with the Detroit Lions. I see him being that Kenny Galladay replacement, a guy that you can just send deep, a guy that people are going to have to double team, a guy that people are going to have to respect and obviously have to game plan around if they want to be successful against him. And although Tyrell Williams is not the biggest name wide receiver, although Tyrell Williams is not the greatest wide receiver, and although I don't think he's quite on the level of Kenny Galladay, I still think and I believe that he brings that same presence and somewhat of that same fear factor that Kenny Galladay imposes upon opponents' defense. While going over this player, going over this signing, the contract, the talent, and what we should be getting out of Tyrell Williams in Detroit, I think this is a very good signing for the Detroit Lions. I think Tyrell Williams will come back with a revenge. I think he'll come back with a chip on his shoulder, being disappointed that he missed the 2020 season, which ultimately led in his release and ultimately led to him being cut from the Las Vegas Raiders after getting a huge contract just 2 seasons ago. I think he comes back with a chip on his shoulder with Anthony Lynn being a guy he's worked with before. I think he's going to start, he's going to know the playbook a bit better, and it's not going to take him as long as maybe some other wide receivers to learn the playbook and know the plays. So I think he's going to get up to a very fast start in the 2021 season, and I would not be surprised if at the end of the season Tyrell Williams was our number 1 wide receiver, and if Tyrell Williams, for the second time in his career and for the second time under Anthony Lynn, records a 1,000-yard season. Now, the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, do still need to look for at least one more wide receiver in free agency. Corey Davis, to me, is still the top option on the board. He's going to cost you a little bit of money. However, pairing Corey Davis with Tyrell Williams on the boundaries and then getting maybe a wide receiver or 2 in the draft, I think would really benefit and would be incredibly beneficial to this Lions receiving corps and would be incredibly beneficial to the Lions as a team. So with all that being said, though, that's all I got for you guys today. Again, wanted to go in depth with the newest Detroit Lion, look at his strengths, look at his weaknesses, talk about the hire, talk about the signing, and try to figure out what his role is going to look like for the Detroit Lions come the kickoff of 2021. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching the video. If there's more Lions news before tomorrow, then I will obviously make a video letting every single person know. But until then, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see y'all tomorrow with more Lions content. Thank y'all for watching. Bye, guys.